Welcome everyone to the third episode of the Boom Bat Bros podcast. Today I'm going to reintroduce you to my co-hosts. My name is Pat G. You can find me at PatG563. And my co-host, you can see my brother, Alec Galandy. What's going on, Alec?
Nothing much. Down for another episode here, ready to go.
Let's do it. And then we have Roger. What's going on, Raj?
Nothing much, man. Just getting my Tyler the Creator education going.
You'll get plenty of that today, I'm sure, because we've been fans for a minute. I feel like before we even jump into Tyler the Creator's Call Me If You Get Lost album, we should really just preface this with how much of Tyler the Creator fans we've been for years now. I think I really started listening to his music probably like late 2012, early 2013, and then I didn't really become a fan until maybe 2014. So that was when I was like beginning to buy merch and really looking into interviews and becoming someone interested in the artist. And that was a really big influence at the time for me because in high school, you know, you're still trying to figure out who to be and everything. And I was a bit late on Tyler the Creator. I feel like a lot of people really learned about him from Odd Future first coming up and Yonkers dropping in 2011, 2012. And since then, he's dropped consistent projects. Like Wolf is an incredible album. You should definitely start there if you're unfamiliar with Tyler the Creator, and then keep going to Cherry Bomb, Flower Boy, Igor, and now Call Me If You Get Lost. And you could go to some of his earlier albums if you're looking for that type of stuff, but it's really a product of its environment and the time. It's shock rap, but Tyler's creative drive has always been there. So I'm really excited to get into this album. Alec, I know being my brother, you were always listening to the music that I was and just, you know, getting put on to stuff and putting me on to stuff that we didn't know about just being in those social groups. So what's your experience with Tyler? How does it differ from mine at all?
Yeah, so like it was around that same time, like it was like 2014 into 2015-ish, where like the post Wolf going into Cherry Bomb was in when I like got introduced. Like you like showed me him, and then like one of my friends showed me like the Tamale music video, and so like from that watching that, I was like, okay, yeah, I like this dude, and yeah, I totally got entrenched in all that, and like for a decent time there, I was like obsessed with like the whole thing, how he made a whole narrative between Wolf and Bastard and Goblin and the Sam is Dead video. Like I was obsessed with like breaking that down. I was like, is this complete? Is there another like is there gonna be another part to this? I was just fascinated with how the whole like incorporating a whole narrative like between three different albums and how he connected that all together with his music videos and everything. And so I was just really impressed by that. And then getting to know like Loiter Squad and the TV show, everything like that, all the funny stuff. That was what I was really drawn to, was just being an immature teenager. And it was just all the stuff that I liked. It was what he was like making and creating, so I was all on board.
Yeah, I think you really enjoyed putting all the puzzle pieces together, even though I feel like Tyler really leaves it open for interpretation and doesn't give you all the answers, which is, as any great artist has done, I feel, doesn't totally spell it out for you. You have to come to the conclusion yourself. But I feel like the entire Wolf timeline going up through his early projects had disappointed a lot of people because it didn't have that climax or a film, you know, coming out that sort of encapsulated that whole era or anything. Tyler gave us Cherry Bomb, which is a total tonal switch and introduced a lot of different changes and things. But he even talks about that on this album, but I'm excited to get into that. And he, I think, impressed a lot of people with the project after that, Flower Boy. And we actually were able to see him in concert. Was it the year before he dropped Flower Boy, or was it like a couple months before he dropped it?
No, it was the year before.
It was the year before.
It was 2016, so it was like a year after Cherry Bomb, a year before Flower Boy was when we went and saw him.
We saw him in Clive, Iowa, which is a suburb of Des Moines. Not that many people there, honestly, because I like in my mind in 2016 I saw Tyler selling out Camp Flogna and huge festivals and stuff like that, and then he comes to our town and it was probably a couple thousand people in that building, but not nearly as many as I would predict his fans would show up for. But it's really cool that we got to see him in person. That's the only concert I've seen of him, but looking forward to more in the future, hopefully.
For sure. And it was so crazy because it was just like so packed in that little place. It was such an intimate experience. I thought it was a really cool concert.
Yeah. Roger, what was your experience with Tyler? Were you familiar with him early in his career when he was doing like shock rap and stuff, or did you only sort of learn about him after you met me in 2016?
I guess I jumped in probably around Yonkers because that's probably one of the first songs I ever heard by Tyler the Creator. And I think that made me like him as an artist, but like he wasn't someone that I wouldn't explore whole projects for. I kind of just like heard his music here and there, and it's just kind of become a part of my playlist. But I really do like Tyler. This album was good. This was almost a no skip album for me. So I mean, I'm a big fan. A big fan.
I praise. I mean, I feel like Tyler has consistent music throughout his whole career. Even if some of the earlier stuff makes you cringe, I feel like there's still pieces of it where you're like, wow, this is a great song. And Igor, Flower Boy, and now Call Me If You Get Lost, there isn't a bad song in the last three albums, you know?
I'd call him consistently inconsistent. Because, like, I feel like the quality is consistent all the way through, but the style, he has, like, some through marks where, like, you can kind of, like, even, it's kind of crazy. There's, like, some songs on this even that remind me of stuff from Bastard. But I feel like throughout each of his albums, like, he completely switches the style up and, like, touches on all these different genres. But I think the quality is what is the main, like, consistency on there.
Yeah, I think we're going to be mistaken not to say this right at the beginning. Tyler is one of those artists that does everything for his projects. He really doesn't have that many outside collaborators. You might see several features and stuff, but he does the producing, mixing, mastering, and arranging of all of his music, writes it all, and puts a really great composition together. And I think this album really personified how he's able to mix so much inspiration and put it into each track and have it sound way different than the last one, you know?
For sure, yeah.
So let's just go ahead and get into this album rollout. So Tyler the Creator, Call Me If You Get Lost. We first saw the title Call Me If You Get Lost out on a billboard, and this was actually commissioned by Columbia in Los Angeles. So that's the label that Tyler's on right now, and the phone number that they had on the billboard would play a voice message. And so they had a couple of different voice messages throughout the lead up to this album, but if you were to call 1-855-444-8888, you would hear a voice message. And I think originally it was just a message about Tyler's mom talking about how much she loves him and things like that. And then there was another one where he was rapping what seemed to be an unreleased song. I'm not sure if that's actually on the album or not, but that verse is actually on the album.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it ends up in Rise. It's like Rise, or it's like one of the later ones where it's like a snippet from there, I think.
Yeah, and it was totally a cappella, just like a voice memo on there. So you would call it and get connected and hear this, clip for a minute, 2 minutes, and then the line would automatically hang up, and that would be that. But I think that this promotion as a way to get people to look into your content and see what it's even about is really smart. I mean, I feel like we've seen a lot recently of marketing in general with artists getting phone lines set up so then you can get in contact with them. You're pretty much on like a private email list, but it's texting. You know what I mean? It's an exclusive way to get different access to things, or just reminding your fans of the most important information that you want to share as an artist and promoting that way. So I think this was a little bit different avenue of that, because they probably didn't collect phone numbers and like put them on a list to get text messages or anything, but it's still a way to reach out and interact with your artists that you're trying to learn more about, learn what they're about to, release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think it's interesting in how he does it. And like that also just started rolling on out. That was like a week, 2 weeks before the album came out. It's like,
Super short. Like it
mm-hmm.
was the beginning of June, and the album came out. Let's see, it came out on the 25th. So that was
Mm-hmm.
probably the first or second week of June that the things were starting to come out. But not short after that Billboard, there were short films posted to Tyler's YouTube channel. And so these actually broke the trend of Tyler's older music where he had a B-side traditionally on each music video. He would have, the song and then a short side where it's another track from the album, pretty much
Mm-hmm.
promoting listening through the whole album with an additional visual. And he would make his clips longer on like his music videos longer because of that. But this totally changed that. This is just shorter bursts, and in some cases not even things that are on the album.
Mm-hmm.
And he put it out just on his YouTube for everyone to watch. Obviously it was on other social media as well. um, but alongside alongside everything that was coming out, he actually put out his own website too, where you could create your own ID. So check
Mm-hmm.
this out. I haven't done this yet, but we should probably make one of these each.
Oh yeah, I saw.
But this is just the copy of the travel license that's sort of inspired by the early 90s, it seems. And you can make your own with your picture and, name and everything. And then there's obviously merch and the phone number. And here are all the videos he's dropped. So let's go ahead and just jump into first on his channel here. The first thing he put out was Side Street. So this is actually, I'm going to make sure I'm muted here because I'm not trying to get clapped.
Yeah, ain't trying to get that copyright strike real quick.
But I'm not sure how familiar Roger is with any of this, but there's pretty much just an instrumental track playing in the background, and he's making out with his friend's girl, or sorry, we
Yeah,
don't
with
even
his
know it's his
girl.
friend's girl, but he's just making out with this girl before he dips out here, and she just looks back, sort of concerned at him, before we eventually learn, oh, she got a man. Yeah, he's just looking back like, wait,
He's like,
what
who
what was
that?
he doing here? That's my friend, But check it out. I don't know if you caught this, Roger.
Yeah, you got the Iowa State merch.
He's got Iowa State on, which I'm not even sure when the last time they played out in Iowa.
It might have been the one we went to. I don't know.
I mean, this crew neck's looking crispy, so I'm not sure. But
That dude looks like
shout
J.R.
out.
Smith.
So, Roger, you've seen the Dave TV series, right?
Yeah.
This is his friend,
Yeah, it's Taco.
Oh yeah.
Taco Bennett.
Okay.
So
Taco
shout out
Travis.
Taco. So what's
Taco
his character
Bennett.
name in Dave? I haven't watched the second
Uh,
season.
oh, I haven't watched the second season yet, but I don't remember what his
Man,
name
we got to get on
was.
that. But shout out to him for wearing Iowa State. It's the worst Iowa college team because we're Hawkeye fans around
Yes,
here.
sir.
But we'll still give him the shout out because
The
either
worst.
him or Tyler coordinated that to be where he'd be rocking his crew neck from. So let's see the date on that. Actually, that one dropped, and no real music was involved in this video at all. But that one dropped on June 14th. So that whole week, then there were some other clips coming up, and then the week after that was release week, and that's when we first got the taste of music. So, yeah. So Side Street comes out, and it sort of alludes to a theme of being with someone else and having a bit of a mixed up romance. But then Lumberjack releases on the 16th. Oh wait, so that same week we got a taste of music. It was a week and a half before the album dropped. So we got the first single then. And so check these visuals out because I feel like Tyler should really be um, congratulated and recognized because he directs all his videos and has them look great. Like at the beginning here, you can see he's just looking through some stuff. There's a bit of a monologue playing that isn't even included in the album, right? He's just talking with this intro before the music even drops. and then the song comes in and you see all these travel bags and clothes all over the place, and he's just flexing, talking about where he's at currently. We'll get into it track by track, but these visuals are crazy.
Mhm.
Getting his nails done in this crazy, like, not even apartment, but weird home that he's built for himself. And then he's playing himself waiting for, travel. But there's also this version of himself too with the Rolls Royce umbrella.
Rolls Royce umbrella, huh?
I don't know.
I didn't even know that
The face
existed.
makeup thingy he did on there reminds me of IFHY.
Yeah, he hasn't
Right,
really
he's
delved
drawing that.
into something like that. It was a welcome, callback to that, and also just a funny concept, I feel like. And then he's in the freezing cold here
Mhm.
because he says LA is too warm in that track. But yeah, Lumberjack was dope, and I think it was an interesting single just to throw out and give to people because it's pretty abrasive, pretty loud, but um, a shorter track too, the single version.
Mhm. Like just coming in abrasive, just like he came in with the hype track to start off, and it's a banger. I dig it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I remember listening to it on the day it came out, and I've listened to it quite a bit since, even like without listening, like including it in my actual listens of the entire album, but just like on its own when it was still a single. But yeah, I really like the track. It's not my favorite track, obviously, but yeah, it's definitely short and sweet, like a lot of the other tracks. But
Yeah. And this was our first introduction to DJ Drama being on the
Yeah.
album, and he was shouting all over Lumberjack's video, but he was nobody be seen in the video. But this pretty much confirmed that DJ Drama was going to be throughout the project. So, Alec, why don't you give us a little bit of background on him from what you were reading up on DJ Drama?
Yeah, I was hyped when I first started listening to that, and I'm like, Tyler got DJ Drama on here. Like, he's a legendary producer, produced a ton of like legendary albums in the 2000s with like Lil Wayne and some other artists, and in the 2010s has gone into more of an executive A&R role. Um, the most recent album that I had listened to where he was like doing the executive producer thing on there, yelling on it, was DiCaprio 2 with Jid, and I like that one a lot.
And he's a Dreamville artist.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
he's pretty like welcome in what we are listening to anyways. I feel like if artists are on labels or associated with other artists that you like, you're more in tune to listen to them. So
Hmm.
check that JIT out. And DJ Drama was on there too. So Tyler's pulling sort of a callback to his childhood and the music he grew up on,
Hmm.
with DJ Drama being on this. And he even pulled up a tweet from however many years ago where he said that I
Oh
finally
yeah,
got
yeah.
it. So
Yeah, he talking about how he needed a Gangsta Grills mixtape going.
right, and no,
Yeah.
and then he corrected it. He said album
Hmm.
is what he dropped. So that's pretty cool that DJ Drama was on this. And I feel like some people don't like having a DJ or having somebody as like the host of the album. I saw some criticism online about how he was annoying or they weren't
Yeah.
liking that compared to sort of traditional song structure,
Right.
but I think it really gives a feel and a vibe that you can't
Yeah, like
recreate.
it's classic hip hop shit right there. Like the that just sounds like I don't know. Even though I am that, it just sounds Gen Z-ish saying, "Who's this DJ?" Like that's half the combo. It's you got the DJ, you got the MC. Like that's the traditional like hip hop thing.
Right. Roger, did you mind DJ Drama on the project? Were you happy what you heard him on there, or what were your thoughts?
I like that he was on there. I think it definitely added to the track. Um, I mean, that's really all I have to say about it. Um,
Hmm.
I like him.
I feel like it totally added like a gravitas to like the song first dropping and then the album totally throughout. Because it's like, I don't know, it's DJ Drama. Like, even though it's, I don't know, I feel like the name is bigger than just, I don't know, necessarily what he bring. Even though like on a base level. He's just yelling on there.
Right.
But like, it just like it makes it feel like an event. It makes it feel important. You know.
Right. Yeah, the next video that he dropped was "What's Your Name?" and it gives an intro. I think this is one of the most beautiful shots from the videos that we've seen so far. That's totally exclusive to the video, wasn't included on the album, but it's even got music on it. And I mean, just look at this shot here.
Ooh.
This is amazing. But pretty much rides out to where he's going on vacation, and pulls up and gets out, and we see the same character from before who he's singing to, and he's trying to pretty much get with, where she's not all that interested. You can tell from this, he's just rapping to her, trying to talk to her, and she's not paying attention. So if we keep going, we can see that she's actually walking back over to our main man Travis, but she's got a croissant on her plate that she's bringing to him.
I didn't get it when I first saw this video. I was like, why are they zooming on the croissant so much?
And then this frame is great, I feel like, with Tyler in the background while they're, sitting together and having a good time. And this goes to show that with all of these videos, he did the banner or the overall logo for Call Me If You Get Lost, and then the theme for it sung at the end of each of these videos. And that was a different strategy than he had tried before. So I think it's really cool, but super short. Like, this is only 2 minutes, and it was only 1.5 minutes of the song, which is a much longer song on the actual project.
Well, I think still overall, it's only maybe like 3 minutes, 3.5. Like, it's not crazy the big. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the second song that we were listening to, and then after that, on release day, he actually dropped. Actually, this was probably a couple days before release day. Yeah, this was the week of, but on the 23rd, this Brown Sugar Salmon. This is just entirely a skit. There's no sort of direct correlation to a track on the album about this skit, but the synopsis of it is T's on a train and he's trying to order something. You can see he's writing some rhymes, but then this woman comes in and asks for his order, and yeah, you can see her facial expressions are hilarious. But she pretty much is not letting him order anything that he wants, and even has the manager come. Wait, let's see if we can. Even as the manager come through, and the manager is trying to be all nice to him and make sure that he's good, and things are not okay. They don't even have any food, and they're just acting like everything's fine. But this is just a funny skit that Tyler wrote, just sort of promoting the theme of travel and going around the world and exposing yourself to different perspectives, but he's having a really tough time about it. And that was the last one before the album actually dropped. And then the Juggernaut video came after the album came out. So let's just go ahead and take a peek at this. And so I think the visuals in this is crazy. He just tosses the crate down. But yeah, he's close up.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
Doing the verse, and then it switches
after the little intro,
and he's fucking pissed. But then he's on top of the
monster truck.
A monster truck rolls. Yeah, that's insane. And we cut down to him pulling it too, but he actually raps Lil Uzi Vert's part on this. But like, who could come up with this other than Tyler? And he was the cinematographer, the writer. Like, he thought of all this himself. Like, he's a true creator to the words. So super cool. And I thought this was hilarious at the end. Because his face all is distorted too while he's falling. But I feel like this is definitely the craziest, like, most high production value video that they did for this album rollout. And I'm super happy about it. Here's all the different alternate covers. Tyler, leading up to this project, we talked about he had changed the album covers for some of his older music on streaming. So I feel like shipping things with alternate covers just lets you switch it up every once in a while and have it be unique. But this blue one seems to be the main cover. But yeah, let's get into track by track now that we've finally gotten through all of the rollout for it. So we start with Sir Balded. How do we pronounce this? Somebody pronounce this for me.
Baudelaire, Sir Baudelaire.
Sir Baudelaire. So
Yeah.
Baudelaire is also the last name Tyler has on this identification card on the front cover, and it pretty much comes down to a writer of poems is what Baudelaire means, but it was actually the last name of a famous poet way back when, and it's sort of just become synonymous with a writer of poems. So he used that word as his new moniker for this album, and DJ Drama sets up the narration at the beginning of the first track, and the travel theme pops in, and we're pretty much transported into travel where Tyler is taking us through the different perspectives that he's gotten in the past couple of years traveling around.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like it definitely came in with a pop off the first one. Like it's not the most hype song off here, but yeah, like I thought DJ Drama did a kind of same thing I was saying with how it came with the first couple singles with um, Lumberjack and what's his name, like him just setting the gravitas, because like even though he like sometimes he's just shouting whatever, but like what he's shouting it like adds into like the themes of like what Tyler's rapping about like right after, so he's just like kind of giving like a summary of like here's what we're about to get into, and then Tyler just goes.
Yeah, I think this was a good track. Like, I think it was definitely a good one for being the first one that's opening up the entire album and stuff. And plus, like, um, I did like DJ Drama and his narration throughout that project, but I think it just really set the tone for the album for me, at least. Like, I was like, okay, this is now what I should expect throughout the rest of the project. So it definitely got me excited for what was to come.
Yeah, we only pulled one lyric that we wanted to highlight from this track, but it's used to be reckless. You should see what them commas do.
Yeah, which is totally tapping in on it like earlier when in his fame around when he was like 17, 18, 19, 20, like around there. How he would always be like yelling or doing something funny, and then there'd be like internet clips of it.
Extremely reckless.
Yeah, doing all that. And yeah, now you don't see nearly, and like now people that are like getting introduced to him, like they'll like see that like clips of him from then and then like interact with him now, and he's just not the same person.
Right. He's definitely matured, and the music shows it, but he also has that energetic side
Oh yeah, for sure.
portrayed and highlighted in
Mhm.
tracks as well.
Yeah, another thing that I thought was interesting about like when it first came in on Sir Baudelaire, where it was like totally getting into the travel themes and stuff, and it totally reminded me of the same vibe he had on his guest verse that he did for Freddie Gibbs
Hmm.
on something to rap about. And I think there was like one or two other guest verses that he also did, but he was totally like he primed up for this. Like what he was rapping about was like being on a boat, like being like sad and like just out living luxury and stuff like that.
So
But
he definitely set up the era with his features leading up to this project.
mhm,
And I think that's a smart way for an artist to give people an insight into where they're at and where they're going to take listeners on their next, commercial project.
mhm.
So, yeah, that's actually funny. I hadn't thought too much about his guest verse and how they fit into the themes now that we have
Yeah.
this to sort of go over.
Because like the whole one with that verse was like, this sounds like the boat I haven't bought yet, and now he bought the boat, and now here's the album.
Oh my gosh, you're right. A year
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Wow. Well, track 2, Corso, keeps the travel themes going and talks about him living single and free and introduces us to that same theme we saw with the side street video of him macking on somebody else's girl and trying to talk to them. But let me grab these lyrics for Corso. We can talk about these here. So, first one is, look, tried to take somebody because I'm a bad person. I don't regret because that worth it. Why does it bleep out? Oh, actually, no. This is actually explicited
Yeah, no,
in the
that one's
track.
him there.
There's actually
Yeah.
the audible bleep sound you could hear in that. But he introduces us to that theme here, and then remember I was rich, so I bought me some new emotions and a new boat because I'd rather cry in the ocean.
So yeah,
Bar.
definitely keeping on theme there. Yeah, facts.
His delivery versus what he's talking about is two different things. Like Tyler can
Yeah.
sound raw and tough, but he's
He's saying
talking
this.
about like actual emotions and how he's upset because he's feeling like he's a bad person.
Yeah, and totally the whole intro to the taking someone else's girl like whole story theme that's going through. First pop off with it here, he's totally like unabashed about it. He's just going for. He's like, fuck it, I'll do it. So, which is totally. We'll see how that evolves throughout the rest of it, but like that's where he's coming in at.
Yeah, and I feel like we'd be remiss to not mention that the beats on the first two tracks are crazy good. Like the production that Tyler puts into it really hooks your ear and gets you ready for the rest of it, because I feel like nothing else that's out there sounds like his production style. He's been influenced by, Pharrell and lots of different genres that he's trying to mix and bend together, and that's why it's so unique and so good on the ears, I feel like.
Yeah, like I totally feel that how no one else is rapping on the same beats that he does. Like whenever it happens in where I'm like listening to my playlist or something, I'll be listening to someone else, and then like a Tyler song will pop on, and then like if I'm with other people, like half the time they'll be like, "Huh?" Because like it just sounds so different, and like not like just how he rap is, how his like rapping style is, but like in the background too.
Like, he does a lot of his own production?
All
Is
of it.
he an artist like that? He does all of it? Okay.
Hmm
Yeah, I just wasn't sure, but like, yeah, he's got some wacky stuff on there. Like, I think it's just,
hmm
it definitely reflects his character, and so that's why I like that his album is very true to himself. Like, that's what I really like about his music.
I feel that. Yeah, I think it's like going back to Goblin, only one song he didn't produce.
Hmm. Okay, gotcha.
Hmm
He also gets away with a lot of samples, and I love samples. So, like, not just this album, but a lot of his albums, he samples different music from the past, and it's great. But especially on this album, there's some really great samples.
Well, and I think he integrates his samples pretty well because I feel like some artists, they're like, "Oh, I got the sample on here. I'm gonna like the sample is like the star of the beat," but like he'll sample like two or three different things in here, and they're all just like mixed together.
Right. I feel like that's more hip hop
Mm.
too. So Lemonhead featuring 42 Doug was the third track here, and this was a pretty crazy one. Like the energy ramps up here where before it might have been a little bit more mellow
hmm
and chill. And I actually hadn't heard of 42 Doug before this, but this was a pretty hype track, and he spits on this thing. Like I was impressed by him, and I might go check some of his stuff out. But he talks about putting a bike rack on the rolls. T F with me on this track.
Who else?
Who else would have done that?
Yeah, I agree. I hadn't heard of 42 Doug, but like when his part came in, it was, yeah, he really went for it in there. Yeah, there's some really nice flow, really good braggadocio. It fit really well.
Yeah, I kind of like when they add artists that like no one's really ever heard of. Like, I
hmm
know Drake does that a lot, or at least they're not necessarily artists that
Yeah.
nobody's ever heard of, but like not in America at least, like most of the time. But they're pretty cool. Like, I really do like 42 Doug, what he brought to the track. So, but yeah, never heard of him. Sorry, Doug. Sorry, Doug.
Well, there were quite a few features on here just in general.
hmm
42 Doug was the first one on track 3 there, but track 4, What's Your Name, featuring Young Boy Never Broke Again and Ty Dolla Sign. It was a pretty quick
Yeah.
track, and I felt like this was the most radio appeal
Mm.
of the tracks that we've been given. And also, this was in the video leading up. T's
Yeah.
verse we had heard.
Yeah, and yeah, yeah. For one, I never expected to see those three artists feel like listed on the same song. I never expected that. Like when like the track list dropped, I was like, wait, yeah, Tyler's got Young Boy and Ty Dolla on the same song. Like it's crazy. And also with it being like radio, like this is the only one that's not explicit on the whole thing. So like this is
Oh.
absolutely the radio hit on here. Like it's don't even have to edit it or anything. It's ready to go. And also surprising, NBA YoungBoy came in with a verse, no cuss words.
I hate Young Boy. he's like
Ah.
he's like the he's like the Kyle of rap, dude. He's like the one you expect to have the monster shirt on, just like punching walls and stuff. Like,
No,
yeah, like
yeah, that's
that's
the
what the
meme about
memes
his
about him are all
fans.
about his fans. Yeah. Like he just doesn't bring anything to the track for me. I don't know. Or like anything. I don't know. I just don't like him.
Bro.
Wow.
Sorry, Young Boy.
I don't. I definitely love the memes about his fans. Those crack me up. But like, God, I think there's like,
Oh,
there's like a Gucci song with Young Boy that's in my playlist. So like, I've heard some good and bad, but he really impressed me out here. I thought he did good on this song.
I thought he did good on this too. He slid with his
Uh,
style, and I mean, his style is dope. I'm not gonna front and say I dislike his music outright. It's just I don't like what he says.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like half the time he's
yeah.
not saying something of too much substance, and I feel like you can get those artists to sort of fit in the theme of whatever you're talking
Mm.
about if you have a strong concept, like Tyler does with pretty much all of his songs. Like he comes in and has like an idea and a vibe of where he's going with it, and he can sort of elicit that in his collaborators.
Yeah.
And I was sad to see that Ty Dolla $ign only did some background vocals. He didn't have a
Yeah.
verse or even like help on the chorus
Yeah,
that
and if
much.
he would have had the hook to like at least like doubled up or like him to himself on the hook, oh, that would have been
For
tasty.
real.
But I was really like Young Boy. I think his like he even had like some good bars on here. Like even like the way he came in, like "What is your name? What are you, Brian?" Like it was just hype. But like when I was going through looking at the Genius, I was like, "Yo, he's got some good bars on here. Like he's got some goodies."
It feels good to find an artist that you're not all that impressed with and then be like, oh, you actually brought some substance to this. Like, I appreciate that.
Hmm.
But it seems like Roger differs from us. I enjoyed this track.
Baby Maker track.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that was my incorporation in there, big time. Yeah, it's already in the Fly Honey playlist. You already know. And yeah, this is one of the ones
like
where it was like stuck in my head all day. Like just
uh,
the hook part, the "What's your name, girlfriend? What's your name?" was like stuck on. Like I listened to this like 3 times ish by 11 a.m. the day it dropped. So
Sheesh.
it was this like hook was definitely the one of the ones that was stuck in my head when I was at work all day.
no, but what's funny about What's Your Name is like it being a Baby Maker track. Like I've definitely heard tracks recently where they talked about being like they would say a lyric and they're like, oh yeah, don't be surprised if you get pregnant after listening to this song or something like that. Like it's just like that's what it made me think of because I've heard someone say that in these Baby Maker songs. So like it's just
Hmm.
that's Ty Dolla $ign's theme. So let him
Oh
run
yeah,
with
Ty
it.
Dolla Sign. How many kids do you think are responsible, or that Ty Dolla Sign's responsible for indirectly making out there?
Oh my
Uh,
gosh. Probably more than he could even think.
enough to have his
That's
own
That's
movie.
great.
he's like the Wilt Chamberlain of R&B.
Oh my god.
Oh gosh. Well, the next track was Lumberjack, which we had heard the first real track that he had given us in the rollout, and it's a pretty big flex as just sharing where he's at, his level of wealth, his standard of living is much higher than it used to be.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it made sense for this one being the single, I think, because it's like hype and the bars on here aren't as much travel oriented as like a lot of the other songs are, like with fitting the theme of the album. I think this one definitely stands out. Like you can tell, like he's rapping like it's a single. It kind of feels like.
Hmm.
I feel like as one of the tracks that people like drop before the album, like preluding it, like I think those end up being some of the best tracks on the album. So like that's just how I feel about Lumberjack, definitely for sure. Like I think it was really good. So
Yeah, he had a good ear for
mhm.
choosing which ones to pop out.
Yeah, on the chorus or the refrain, I guess, for this track, he goes, Rolls Royce pull up, black boy hop out. Shout out to my mother and my father didn't pull out.
That was stuck in my head all day too.
That's a pretty repetitive but catchy tune.
Hmm.
That was pretty slick.
Yeah, and then there's some yeah some bars on here.
No, not a bar.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, what? That's not a bar.
Uh,
You gotta say
oh my
that
god.
the guy that he's with being tall, but he looks
Bitch, I
like a
call him
woman,
Mulan.
so he calls him Mulan. That's hilarious.
Oh my god.
That's the
I think it's
signature
corny. I
Tyler.
don't know.
No, that's the signature Tyler. Like his sense of humor. Everything is just like saying some shit where it's like he knows it'll make people uncomfortable.
But it's still funny in
Yeah.
sort of weird way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so he was talking about bought another car because I ain't know how to celebrate that big boy, that big for all weather. It never rained in Cali, came with an umbrella. He's talking about the Rolls Royce. So
Mhm. Yeah, it
Yeah,
reminds
Rolls
me
Royce
of
umbrella.
reminds me of Cherry Bomb some. How back then he was all on McLarens, now he's on the Rolls.
well, he's leveled up apparently. He
Mhm.
just keeps on going. I don't know. He's got boats now. What's he gonna go into yachts? I'm not sure.
He's
how-
got to get a spaceship next.
Yes. Oh my God, that's too wild. I feel like. But he's talking a bit of self-consciousness here. That's my nuance. Used to be the weirdo. Used to laugh at me, listen to me with their ears closed. Used to treat me like that boy from Malcolm in the Middle.
No, motherfucking bitch.
Now I'm 0, 0, 0, 0, talking about his bank account balance.
Mhm.
But
And he adds another zero the next line. He got 7. So he's on that
Sheesh.
8-figure 7
Yeah.
zeros.
you gotta say that's a bar, Raj. Come on now.
Yeah, that was a bar. I was reading it right before you started talking about it, and I was like, oh, yeah, bar.
Mhm.
I was wondering about that 7-0. I was like, I don't think I forgot it.
Yeah, I think that really shows how he knows that he was an outcast and he knows that he was the kid that didn't really fit into a box before and is sort of shouting out and celebrating people like him and letting them know that they have a place and they're welcome and they just got to create and hope that someday you find an audience and you can elevate what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I feel like he definitely touches on that more later on in the album, where with the themes of like freedom and just like doing what you want is like, uh, what's the word? Like like self-liberation type stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So next up, track 6 is Hot Wind Blows with Lil Wayne. And this is what, the third collaboration between Tyler and Lil Wayne?
Fourth. So the first one was on I think it was the game song, that featured Lil Wayne and Tyler on it way back in the day. It was like Goblins and Martians or something, or Martians and Goblins.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
that really just screams early 2010s rap. Like that came out in 2011 or 12 for sure.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, other than that, yeah, Lil Wayne showed up on like this is third Tyler song he showed up on.
Yeah, I feel like Tyler always taps in for Lil Wayne when he's got a really good beat for him on his project and he just needs like
Yeah,
as well with DJ Drama coming in and narrating and sort of setting the scene, he always taps in Lil Wayne just to sort of set the scene and give like a sort of corresponding but not like exactly linked to the album theme verse. And it's also something from Tyler's childhood, like legends that he feels like he's now collaborating with,
yeah. And back to what you're saying about the beats, this was one of my favorite beats on the whole project. Like that, like that whole thing. It is so catchy. It is, oh yeah, that is like some hype shit. I dig it a lot.
You gotta love flutes. Flutes in hip hop, and rap beats and production and stuff are just like always good. They always add, something new to the production that just kind of like that stands out, and that's why like in this one I think it was very prominent. I just really liked the Lil Wayne verse. The Lil Wayne verse was good too. It was nice to see him on the track, on someone else's project and whatnot. But yeah, it was definitely one of the contenders for one of my favorite ones for sure.
Yeah, this is one of the best Lil Wayne guest verses I've heard in a minute. Like, especially when the beat like drops out and he's just like going super fast in there.
Yeah.
Like he really flexes. He does a really good job on
Yeah,
there.
check these bars that we pulled out from the track. So The first one is so many stinkies sit in my wallet. It looked like a folding chair. The Cartier so light on my body thought I floated here. We boated here. It's Tunchi and Tyler, but call me Baudelaire.
Hmm.
That rhyme scheme, I just
Bro, yeah,
loved.
I totally remember first time I heard it. Like when I heard the first two lines, I'm like, he's totally gonna rhyme this with Baudelaire, ain't he?
You predicted that.
Yeah, like as I was listening to it, I'm like, okay, the Baudelaire line's coming up.
I mean, he had to do boated here with Baudelaire, right? That's only correct. Thought all this lean will have me see now. I guess they'll see now. Let's touchdown, catch a beat down like I catch touchdowns.
Yeah, so that was on the Lil Wayne verse.
I was like, okay, he's talking about his lean, but he's not senile about it, and he can still touch down and drop a dope verse pretty much and catch a touchdown,
Yeah,
score on it.
yeah, and that whole thing was like a reference to some other bar that he had like way back in the day. I don't remember
Of
what
course it
song,
was.
but it was like yeah, pretty similar to an old one.
And then the last one, Wolfgang, that's what I need you to know. Moolah Weezy to go. That's the end of his verse, right?
Mm, yeah, yeah. I think it's either the end or like close to the end there.
Yeah, he might have had one or two lines after that, but I thought that collaboration was dope and never disappointed when I hear Lil Wayne on some dope production.
Gosh, just warms my heart seeing Lil Wayne shout out the Odd Future Wolfgang, and also calling back to a lot of sentiment that guys from Odd Future had, calling Wheezy the goat. That appreciation between each other, I just love it.
So next we have track number 7, Massa. And this slows it down a little bit and gives us a bit of chill, personal words from Tyler where he's talking about his life across the different eras he's been putting out music for and what's been happening recently. But what do you guys think about this track?
Wasn't my favorite. I liked it. I liked that it was chill. It was definitely, I think, out of the box, for Tyler. But like I don't know. I just wasn't the biggest fan of it. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't have as much of a personal connection with like his past projects as you guys do. But
so let's look into the words that he's sort of talking about on here and the details and see if you feel a little bit different, Roger, because he's pretty introspective and deep here. I'm not sure how much you'll connect with it versus how Alec and I are connecting with it, but he's saying he didn't really hit puberty, or maybe not puberty is the right word, but he didn't really grow with himself in not only a taste way and how he feels about different things that he likes, but also in a way where his physical features were coming out for the first time. He was physically growing too. He says, my facial hair started growing, my clothing ain't really fit me. The caterpillar went to cocoon. Do you get me? See, I was shifting. That's really why Cherry Bomb sounded so shifty. So he's talking about how he's progressing and finding how he's feeling differently about things, but also his past. I don't come from money. They deny it since I don't mirror the stereotypical product of my environment.
Bar. Yeah,
that
I
one
was
was a
totally
bar.
blown away by this. I was blown away by this track. Like I don't know if it was necessarily in my first listen. My first listen, I liked it a lot because he really like this is one of the most personal like songs that he's had in a minute. Like a lot of the times he'll have like really deeply personal like themes, like especially over his last two albums, like where early on it was like a lot of you couldn't tell what all was him, what all was a character, then he kind of shifted into like a lot of it more was him. And like this is like really like getting into that too, where he's talking about like, yeah, this is like what was happening to me and like when I was making these like last couple albums and where I'm at now into like the second verse when he's like talking about like what he's going through now compared to like that whole changing time in his life when he was going from like the whole Odd Future era into like going off into his own stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of fans at that time felt sort of confused, maybe not betrayed, but just confused, because it was like Tyler wasn't an openly like talking about new Odd Future stuff. He wanted to do his own thing and learn more about himself. And a lot of the Odd Future guys like struggled to have careers, and that's definitely on themselves. But it's just tough that um, maybe not as much support or insight was even given into what was going on at that time, and now we're getting that after the fact, and we're learning about it. And Tyler continues saying, a flower gets its petal, they pluck it but never use it. It's still potholes in the schools. When does it go? It's still loopholes that I use, nobody knows. Talking about taxes and paying his fair share
Well,
and that type of thing.
and I think that the first couple lines in that are beautiful. Like those are also some of my favorite bars from this whole album. Are talking about like a flower like him, someone that's incredible, has all this talent, and isn't the like traditional or like mainstream that you're like used to. And like everyone sees that like uniqueness and talent and like tries to capitalize it off themselves, but then like how they're trying to capitalize off it, it's not going to anything good. Like when he's putting all this like art into the world, like bringing beauty into the world, and like all these people trying to capitalize off him, and like they're just not doing the same thing with it.
For sure. Any thoughts, Raj?
I don't know. It just sounds like more like, you know, it's okay to like make money off of it. Like if you, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, and that just comes, like it's not something that you're necessarily looking for. And so I guess that's what it's, is, what it feels more like to me. So like, I think, it's definitely a bar for sure.
Yeah, we've pulled a lot from this song just because there were lots of lines we wanted to highlight. But I'm on the hunt for perfect, but decent is what I've been on. That's just a good mantra. Whatever bring you that immense joy, do that. That's your luxury. The greatest thing that ever happened to me was being damn near 20 and leaving Los Angeles for the first time.
Yeah, from the intro.
Yeah, that's okay. So these are a bit out of order,
Oh
these
yeah,
bars
that
that
one
we're
should be
looking at.
before.
But yeah, so this is from the intro where he was talking about getting a different perspective and seeing things from a different view in a couple of different senses. But we should also mention that not only DJ Drama interjecting and talking in between tracks, but Tyler, just in the same fashion of the videos, is also having monologues and long-winded intros where he's not even rhyming and like just talking about things that weren't insights that we had ever learned about himself or his music or anything before. So I appreciated that, as it was a bit different than what we were used to.
I thought this like these lines here are crazy. Like I thought I was really surprised when I heard this. We ain't gotta pay attention to the stuff that he battles. Everyone I ever loved had to be loved in the shadows. Tug of war with X and Y feel like a custody battle. Talking about how all the stuff in his past where he's been had these like different attractions to like men and women, and how he's like kind of sheltered all of that off, kept it quiet, and kind of buried it in different alter egos and like stories originally, and how like whether as a guy or a girl, anything from his personal life, like he was just being tugged in all these different ways, and there's always people trying to like want to know about what's going on with him, and he's just trying to live and love and shit. And like there was like Igor, how a ton of that was about heartbreak and what he was going through personally, but he just never explicitly said anything like this, with like how he's dealt with it.
Yeah, for real. And then here's the last bar we got. I paint full pictures of my perspective on these drum breaks just for you to tell me it's not good from your lunch break. And that's how the song pretty much ends and goes to the outro. But he's eluding criticism and like saying, yeah, I try my best to give you everything of what I've got going on. And I feel like Tyler especially has this 2-year schedule where he knows that he's going to have a different perspective in a couple years, but he's going to be making music in that time so that he can give you a unique sound and unique perspective. And then some criticism will come in where he says, it's not good, but I'm still working my day job. You know what I mean? I'm not outliving my dreams, but what I'm listening to right now, I don't like it. or I need to be overtly negative about it, where you could just instead highlight what you like. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I feel, and I hope that we bring positivity out on this podcast because we don't try and be overtly negative, but have some valid
Yeah.
criticisms when we do.
Yeah, well, it's been kind of tough because the first two albums that we're bringing out on here is like,
Our
yeah,
best
two,
artists, favorite
yeah,
artists.
two, like the two most personal artists to me for all time, or like the two, like first albums that we break down on here. So I don't know, maybe I'll be more negative later. We'll see. But right now, I'm just all ups. But like, this bar here and like the end of this verse really reminded me of Rusty off Wolf and like Tyler's whole attitude on there, how he's pissed off at the critics and like that like he was really emotionally vulnerable there too. And like I feel like this song really brought back some of the emotions and feelings from that, even though it's his perspective now compared to where his perspective was at then.
So track number 8 is "Run It Up" featuring Tizo Touchdown, another artist that I have no prior knowledge to of, but I thought this was a great transition, especially with that hard
Mm-hmm.
cut after Massa. That song was a bit more slow paced and personal, but um, this is a slow introduction before the chorus comes up in chants and sort of brings the energy back up and "Run It Up." And it was a really beautiful introduction before the drums came in, I thought. And Tyler keeps it interesting from track to track, sort of blurring the lines between them if you listen to the album in order, because he's got a lot of these different aspects of tracks that could fit, across the lines, but they're sort of blurred and you're not sure where one track starts and where another begins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was really cool the transition from like style wise from Massa going into Run It Up, from like Massa that like he's talking about like everything he's going through, all this like pent up frustration that he has, and then Run It Up is just like total like motivational celebration of getting it going, like uh just really I don't know. This song really just hypes me up and uh gets me motivated. Like it makes me feel like I want to go out and like do something, you know.
It's my favorite track. I really like "Run It Up."
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Like, I don't even know who Tizo Touchdown is, but he was definitely a good feature
Same.
on the track. I think he like they balance each other out, and I thought it was a good track. Like it made me think of what's that song on KOD, the J Cole album, where it's pretty much just talking about money.
Brackets.
Or
Uh,
ATM.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
ATM.
probably
I think it's
ATM.
ATM. Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind
Probably
of reminds
ATM.
me of ATM. Like that's kind
Yeah, I
of
was
how
thinking
what
about
it
that
makes me
too.
think
Mm.
of when I hear that song.
But Tyler has some good bars on here saying, "Ever since I hit 210s, a lot of faces with the blue skin, with the green background, don't know how to act now." And he also says, "When you're in
Bar.
your room and you're staring at the ceiling, dreaming, I want you to know it's no ceilings. I want you to notice that feeling. I want you to leave and go for it. I want you to reach with no fearing." So this is inspirational and
Mm-hmm.
trying to share that feeling that he knows that creators have when their
Mm-hmm.
ambitions are coming to life and you're sort of drafting all of the possibilities in your head. He wants you to know that you got to go for it and you got to jump in and try your best.
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful on the intro on this song, where it was too long to fit into a genius image, but it was like a bunch of stuff. But he was talking about like I've never felt insecure. I never second doubted myself. Like he always like trusted his own ability and like how he's taken that to get to where he's at now. I don't know. It just makes me really feel really proud of him because I remember him like way back in the day. Like I would be listening to his songs and in like science class or whatever, and like people would think I was weird for it. And like now he's like here, and now everyone loves
Seriously.
him. Like,
At the forefront of hip hop and music in general, I feel like Igor was much more of a pop album, so it
hmm
broke boundaries and got people that otherwise wouldn't have listened to Tyler to be fans and listen to his back catalog.
yeah, I feel like yeah, Flower Boy and Igor, he really gained a ton of fans like on both of those points.
Yeah, I think those are more the
Yeah, it
albums that I came up on.
hmm
Like those are
was
the ones
probably
that I
after.
we're more
after we
familiar
were
with.
listening to the music together, you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely more that. I mean, I had a little bit of exposure, but yeah, it wasn't really until those two. I think that I explored more. So
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people did that. Like he had his early hype and stuff from Yonkers, and like he had definitely a ton of fans that were like into like that, but then a lot of people that were like put off from that and like him being like banned from countries and stuff. So like there was a lot of negativity associated with him back then. And I think that still kind of stuck with him up through like Wolf and Cherry Bomb, and like how Cherry Bomb was really really experimental and stuff, and how he was like saying early in the album how he was like all shifty at that time. I feel like that turned a lot of people off. And then when Flower Boy came through and it was all like full fledged together, I feel like a lot of people looked at him a different way when that came out.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the reactions and how the perception of an artist has changed when, from a fan's perspective, you're down to listen to whatever they're putting out, you know? Like, even if it's a different era, even if it's not exactly what you loved, you can still go back and listen to what you loved because it's
Hmm.
not like it's gone or anything. And embracing the new era of an artist and sort of celebrating how the sound's evolving because you know that they're going to be able to create more stuff that you like. I feel like that's the difference between a fan and someone who feels like it's a transactional relationship between a
Hmm.
creator and whatever they produce.
Yeah, I feel that. Like, yeah, a lot of people like they hear music. They don't necessarily like listen to music all the time, you know? Like I feel like there's a lot of people that have that relationship with it, and others that are like they might have that relationship with certain artists and or not with others. Like I feel like it kind of goes back and forth with some people.
So track number 9 is Manifesto featuring fellow Odd Future member Damo Genesis, and it's a bit of a hard beat switch as soon as Tyler's done and Damo's part comes in, and it's just a bar song. Like it's just strictly about the wordplay, I feel like, and a bit of Tyler and Damo's perspective on what's going on in the world and where they're at.
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I get that it was bars, 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 but like sometimes I feel like a song can't just be bars. Like some people can, come up with the best lyrics ever, but they can't actually make a song, like make a song that people are gonna enjoy. And so, like,
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, it definitely was not my favorite track.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's not enough to carry the whole track, and I felt like, especially when it switched hard, the beat was all right. I mean, it was a cool sample, but yeah, it was not my favorite beat on the whole thing, but it
Hmm.
was pretty classic hip hop. I felt like Tyler gave Damo some decent stuff, but Damo's delivery is also one that not everyone likes. I
Yeah.
I personally think that his music's great, but um
And I feel like he has like some different like he'll go between a different some different deliveries, but this is like harken back and more to that early Odd Future like delivery of like how he would rap back then. I thought it was cool kind of how he brought that back, but I'm a nerd about it, so that's how it goes.
well, let's look at these bars, nerd.
Okay.
I came long way from my past. It's obvious. V12 engine. I'm fishtailing on some sloppy internet bringing old lyrics up like I hide the shit. So he's really saying, I know my past is out there and it's public information, and people are coming at me sideways like I didn't write it myself or like I'm trying to hide it. But no,
Yeah.
it's just something that he's learned from, and he's come a long way from it.
Hmm.
And then he said, I think this is probably the most important thing that he said in this song, but I might not have dreadlocks, I might have these gold teeth, but I'm like you and you's like me. So let's be together and let's be with plans. So he's saying, yeah, we
Hmm.
might be the same race, but we're not exactly alike to listeners, and he's really trying to connect with them and say, let's have plans. Let's have something put together so we can profit off of and be successful.
Hmm.
And let's do it together and let's not be exclusionary.
Yeah, I thought it was cool in this song how I had like the funny little intro part where it's like, oh yeah, these white bitches asking like, what are you gonna say about this or that? I thought it was funny how he like was totally self-aware of saying like having that in the beginning, and then once it came to his second verse after Damo came in, talking about a lot of the stuff like this on there. I thought he had a pretty good message with what he was like trying to get through there. And kind of like harken back to, I don't remember what song it was, but the like dye your hair blue shit, I'll do it too line.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
from Flower Boy, wasn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah, and then we go into track 10, Sweet slash I Thought You Wanted the Dance, featuring Brent Faiyaz and Fana Hues. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But
Hmm.
I really like this track. I feel like I'm partial to the longer tracks just because we get a lot, because Tyler gives us some different, musical stuff to keep us entertained the whole time and switch it up. And with these tracks that have two sides to them, he can especially do that. And I really love this one. Like I was singing along to this,
Mm.
you sugar, you're so sweet. It was just really catchy.
Yeah, I like the second half more. The I thought you wanted to dance half. I like that half more. But both of them were really good. And first time I heard this, like before, I think it was when the second half came in, or it might have been like somewhere in the first half of it. Like I was totally thinking back to this one tweet I saw in 2019.
I
Uh,
got it pulled up. Let's
oh
show the
yeah,
people.
let me get this. Yeah, so it totally reminded me of this tweet on here from 2019 where he's talking about how he started a bossa nova album in 2012 back when he was working on like Wolf. And so when I was listening to this song, I was like, this definitely had to have been born from that originally because it totally sounds like that same type of style.
He probably just evolved the style. I would be shocked to hear if this was like a composition that he had written in 2012 that he put on his album 9 years later. You know what I mean?
Like I wouldn't think that it was the exact same song, but I feel like it probably definitely took like inspiration from those sessions that he had way back then.
That's awesome.
So you guys big fans of Brent Faiyaz? Like, do you guys know a lot about him? Because I really liked his feature on this song. Like, I think he's probably one of the better features on this entire project, in my opinion.
I was somewhat familiar with his music, but you had really been vouching for him, so I enjoy listening to his music, but I am not the biggest fan, honestly. I just haven't found too much other than a couple of singles that I was super drawn to or like going back to more frequently.
Yeah, like I've seen his name before in like people talking about him, but I pretty much know nothing about him.
Okay, I gotcha.
I do agree with
But
you though. It was one of the better features and he had
yeah,
a decent part as well in this song, just singing throughout.
yeah, for sure. I thought his singing was really good on this album or on this song.
But Tyler's bars though felt like dirty dishes because we was in sync. I, I swear to God, if you and him had never linked, I'd tear that ass up like something was stole. I'd make sure them glass globes roll back to your skull. That was some good wordplay, but he was also
For
saying
sure.
like if he wasn't there, I would be exactly where he's at. We're only not in a relationship because he's in the way is sort of how he's portraying it in this song. Especially in like the latter side, he said, "I thought you wanted the dance." That's sort of a oh yeah, this was just specifically that line because we gotta highlight this line. Felt like dirty dishes because we was in sync.
Gotta love the puns.
Oh my gosh. But overall, I thought you wanted the dance side is him saying, "Hey, I thought you wanted to be romantically involved with me. I thought we were going to have something, but you're involved with my friend here. I don't want to, be the bad guy in the situation." But Tyler sort of already is in that spot, and he's just having trouble navigating.
Yeah, at this part of the narrative, it's totally the he's in question of like what direction to go into now. Of yeah, just like what is this like where to go next of like this whole situation he's gotten himself into.
But this track overall was super smooth, and I really liked it. And
Hmm.
I like the longer tracks, not gonna lie. Like it gives us a lot to listen to. But the next one's really short and it's sort of an interlude. before we get into Rise. But track 11 is Mama Talk, and it's just a voicemail of his mother talking about how she's a ride or die for him. Like she will go beat up kids, parents. Like as Tyler was growing up, she didn't care at all if anybody was like getting after him for being wild and crazy. She would be right there with him. Defending him and doing whatever she had to make sure that he was respected. So gotta respect Mama.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool dynamic that they have together, and I just loved it when she was there when he won the Grammy and everything. Like,
Seriously,
it's really special.
Yeah, it was a nice little touch, just kind of put a little bow on the album a little bit. I think it was nice.
Yeah, give some family perspective and sort of share how they are in relation to him, because he's kept his mom sort of uninvolved in his music. He's obviously talked about her and the things that they've gone through, but yeah, I think this was a good insight to her perspective a little bit too. But the next track is number 12, Rise, featuring Daisy World. And this is a really great one as well. I really enjoyed this track, but how'd you guys feel about it?
I loved it. There was another one that was stuck in my head all day. That rise to the top and tell you right now. The whole thing, like that, like kept popping in my head as I was just like hanging out and whatever. And yeah, this one, a lot like Run It Up, I thought was really inspiring. Really, I don't know, just like a celebration. Like really felt like a culmination of like just where he's at now. And I thought it was another one that really just made me proud of him.
Yeah, it had me in my feels a little bit. I was like, "Hey, this is a nice little happy track, nice little motivational track. Just help us get our day started." I really liked it. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Daisy World though.
Neither am I.
I really enjoy that Tyler's putting these artists that many people aren't familiar with, or at least we aren't as hip hop fans, especially familiar with, and giving them a platform and giving them a chance to showcase their talents. But he's also got some of those big name features on here,
Yeah,
of course.
like he's got like Young Boy and Ty Dolla Sign on the one song. Like I definitely heard of both of those guys, and then the other one later on where it's got Uzi and Pharrell. Like obviously, like those guys. And then I feel like a lot of the features and like Damo, if you're like an Odd Future guy, but everything other than them was like just a lot of new sounds that I hadn't heard before, and I thought like they really stuck and like really like blended together well with Tyler's style and like incorporating their styles into what he's making.
He's just a great collaborator. I've come to discover he just gets the best version of his collaborators out for the most part. I just wish he would give them a little bit more time in the songs.
Well, he did that on Flower Boy. Like half those songs were like Rex songs. It kind of felt like.
Very true. Well, he did shout out sort of our geographical location here. He said, "Let me show you punk mother what I know." Yeah. See, I know I'm the guy that took a chance like Chicago, talking about Chance the Rapper, sort of wordplay in there. So I win. I can do this with my eyes closed. Can't tell the difference between Michael's Vitili. I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Like vitiligo. I don't know.
Vitiligo. It's vitiligo.
Vitiligo. But that's his disease that turned his skin white and sort of bleached it in different areas until it pretty much turned later. But yeah, can't tell the difference. I thought that was a great bar, and just this in general coupling of bars here I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I gotta say I didn't expect someone to rhyme with vitiligo or vitiligo, whatever it is.
Vitiligo. Nice little word there.
Yeah, Tyler came through on Rise. But the next is Blessed, another skit where Tyler is sort of reflecting where he's at in his well-being and his new mindset going into pretty much his 30s now, because he's 29 as this album's released. So he had one funny bar in here that we wanted to pull up and talk about. We write in shows, man. Life is beautiful. I fell in love only flaw is my hair won't grow. It's been like 2 years and it's still 2 inches. So he's saying all this great stuff he's got going on with his career, his creative enterprises, and his different ideas, but his hair won't grow, and he's so frustrated about
I
that.
know. Followed on social media. It's funny. Like I feel he definitely like wants to grow the fro out, but like I don't know, it's just been the same length forever.
You trying, man. But that's funny. I mean, it just also shows you perspective. Like, you can have everything in the world, but then the things that you can't control will still frustrate you. So, success doesn't fix everything, but it definitely helps.
Mhm.
But track number 14, Juggernaut, featuring Lil Uzi Vert and Pharrell Williams. This is probably the other like lead or standout track, and we saw a clip of the video earlier where Tyler was going crazy on top of that monster truck rolls.
Yeah.
But this is the only track that Tyler doesn't have the exclusive production credits on. Pharrell actually has a co-producing credit on this track,
Oh,
and it's
that's
a
cool.
banger. Um, he just is on his stuff. And Louis Vert, I'm not the biggest fan of his. I feel like his music's pretty mid. Like, the quality isn't always there. Like, he's got some catchy tracks, but he came in here with a pretty dope verse, sliding, just like I was saying, Tyler bringing out the best in his collaborators.
For sure.
And I loved Pharrell's verse. Like, it was skateboard P to the fucking truth, man. Like, it was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I think Pharrell more than anything killed it on this on this song. Like his verse was like some crazy cool wordplay in there when we pulled that up. But also with like Uzi, yeah, like a lot of his stuff, like his flows just seem whack to me a lot of the time, but like on the Igor intro that he did or the Igor's theme that he did for the last album, I thought he was cool on there. And then on here, I thought he was really impressive with his flow, which I didn't see coming because like I saw the Uzi like feature on there and I was like, ah, yeah. But like he like really impressed me. But like I don't check his stuff out that often.
Yeah, he's pretty hit or miss most of the time. I'm pretty familiar with his music. It doesn't resonate with me. Like, there's a couple bangers for sure, but I mean, it was nice to have, as a feature. Like, I think him and Pharrell, had the potential to make good music, which I think is why he probably put them both in the same track. So I think, it was a good song. I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I originally was thinking about not putting it on my playlist, but I think I will add it. I think I just got to give another listen. We'll see what happens.
It is sort of abrasive how the intro is so nice and Tyler's
Yeah.
coming in rapping about lemons, and then it just goes boom, 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 and then it just gets hard, and
It just
then
goes off the rails.
for real it just gets super tough and crazy, and the production like ramps up and doesn't ramp back down. But I feel like that's a better vibe for the other two MCs on it as well. Like, we got to talk about these bars
Yeah.
that Pharrell spit.
Low key, this reminds me of Keep the O's a little bit. With like
Oh yeah.
Pharrell coming in, like one of the last songs on the album kind of reminds me of the energy that he had on that one.
Huh. That's a good comparison. But he says, "What troubles me is you couple me with these subtle fleas trying to double league, hornet trapped in a hive of a mother bumblebee." So he's way too big for the bumblebee hive, and you're trying to compare me to these other people that don't even stack up. Like, I thought that was a great flex
Hmm.
and really cool wordplay that I really enjoy and appreciate, because we need more of that.
I don't know. Pharrell just killed it on his verse. I thought it was really cool. And like,
That's for sure.
and even like Uzi, like his verse is like really cool. I think Tyler really let them shine on there. Like he had his like little intro part, but he really more than anything let them carry this song, I think.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and it was even funny how Tyler rapped Uzi's part in the music video,
Hmm.
just giving him a bit more of a cosign and praise. Like, yeah, this is even some stuff that I would rap.
Hmm. Yeah, like I could definitely see him like when he's going on concert and stuff. He might get Uzi for like some tour date like in a big city, but most of them I could definitely see him like performing Uzi's part.
Yeah,
Even if he got Pharrell's too, that would be impressive if he performed the whole thing.
Sheesh.
But he'd probably do like a shorter version of the song, I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be a lot.
Yeah.
So that brings us to the penultimate track, the second to last, track 15, Wilshire. And this is a really long-winded monologue where he's talking about the affair that he's having and how it's a struggle of knowing that he's really attracted to and having a great chemistry with his friend's girl, but it's like they're still in a relationship and he doesn't know how to navigate that while also struggling to commit himself and wanting to commit in a relationship. And she's yearning for that, and he can't really provide that. He can only provide fun experiences together when they're, with each other. And he knows it's wrong, but he's actually acting irrationally when they're close together. That's sort of what he's talking about in some of the talking points and like in between verses where he's just monologuing a little bit. And yeah, he's just storytelling hard on this really long track, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite tracks for sure. Probably in my top 3 tracks. It was another long one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It
like
felt
9
pretty long.
minutes.
So this must have been the longest.
Yeah,
It's between those two. It was between this and then the two-parter.
Yeah, I would bet he had most, if not a good portion of this track ready to go once he was working on the rest of the album, or at least revisiting some of the verses and writing, because he does allude to this as the main theme throughout the videos and the different tracks leading up to this in the album. So this sort of crescendo at the end where this is what it was leading up to is really cool to see. And I like how he wrote the album in that fashion where you sort of get that climax or payoff where you get more details and insight into what's been going on.
Yeah, I definitely think it could have played out that way. Like it would not surprise me at all if this was like the first song that he had like written for this whole thing. Like that would make a lot of sense to me if he like did this and then like expanded from that.
There's what, 4+ verses? Like there's a lot to dig through. But here's some of our favorite bars from Wilshire, where Tyler says, cross the line, cross the nah, we never did that. Though I haven't seen him in months, it's rare he never hit back. So their friendship has sort of taken a toll because of the relationship that he's sort of creating with this girl too. But anyway, convince him to bring you to me so we could kick it. So he's not even thinking about his friendship in the primary tense anymore. He just has sort of mixed intentions and he wants to see her. Next he says, I could a trillion every country I've been in, men or women, it don't matter. If I see him, then I had him. And he's saying, yeah, what was the pretty famous quote that he said? I F anything pretty.
Yeah, I F whoever pretty.
Yeah. So he was just saying that he doesn't really have a preference between men or women. He's a bisexual man that is totally down for anyone who he finds as attractive. And he's saying here, yeah, if I seen him, then I had him, but they're not you, And yeah, but
right
with
after.
you, it's a feeling because we twinning and we match, and you stayed in the car when I went on a date with that actress. Whole time I'm eating, I couldn't wait to get back. Yeah, he's just really detailing how much he longs for her and has love for her, even though she's sort of an unattainable or the progressing of their relationship is unrealistic.
Yeah, he's out living his life, being a rap star, doing all this stuff, going on dates with actresses and everything, and it's just not fulfilling him. He just wants what he can't have.
I have no idea who it would be, but good on T for at least trying to be with someone high profile. I feel like if you're someone high profile, it's hard to not go with someone else high profile. You know what I mean? Like you really gotta either find someone that you really like that can't relate at all to your lifestyle or your point of view as being someone with like millions of followers online, well known in all these media properties, movies and TV. Because those people can relate to each other way more than like a normal person with
Mhm.
someone who's uberly famous.
Yeah, there's just levels to it.
But yeah, that was an incredible track, and Wilshire is probably one of Tyler's most creative and just fun, insightful. Like it really touches on a ton of
Mhm.
different emotions throughout their relationship and gives us a really great perspective that I appreciated. And that's really the theme of the album all in one
Mhm.
song. If you really wanted to just dial it down, that one song is what the album's about.
Yeah, I was extremely impressed by the storytelling on here. It really harkened back to like some of his earlier stuff that I was familiar with. And yeah, just with how it was earlier in his career with a lot of you didn't know whether it was a character or like whether it was him, like stuff that was like actual real stuff or stuff that was like kind of inspired by real stuff, whereas like a little mix of the two. Like I feel like this is like him really putting it all out there, and the way that he drew on emotions of like people in certain situations that could have been real or not in the past, and like bringing that into expressing that through real situations he went through now. Like I think he's just extremely talented in the way he can express all of that and relate his emotions and different people's emotions through song like that. I think he's really talented, and there's not many other artists that can do it the way he does it.
We'll go ahead and move on to the final track, Safari. And it's a really good instrumental on this one. DJ
Mm-hmm.
Drama's, setting the scene for how everything you just listened to, sort of compartmentalizing it for you a little bit, and Tyler comes in and gives you some really dope bars as well. And it's just super cathartic and a great ending to the album, I thought. It's just another, side of T showing that you really should get out and get a different perspective, sort of harking back on a little bit of the themes that he's been pointing out to us in the album and saying, hey, that was probably the most beneficial thing that happened to me is getting out and exploring the world. I really think that you should do that and call me if you get lost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that was a really good one to cap it off with. I was really impressed by the beat on here. It was probably one of my top two or three favorites with like Hot Wind Blows and stuff. I thought it was a really good beat on here. And yeah, like how you're saying it was cathartic. I really thought this encapsulated the whole story that he was going on with the girl and everything, and also brought together all the themes of him like traveling the world, like you were talking about. I thought it was really cool how he brought it together, and it kind of like brought me with the same emotions of like Run It Up and Rise. How it just really felt like established, like dang, like he really like he made it into this position that he's at now. I thought it was like really, uh,
I would have said this. I didn't really like this track at all until you guys like just kind of broke it down for me right there. Because I didn't even think of it in that perspective, like from that that point of view. Like I didn't think of how it really encapsulated the theme of the entire album and how it really kind of finished it off in a nice way. So I guess that makes the track a little bit better for me. But
mm-hmm,
like if we're just talking straight, like it being a song and it being music and it sounding good to my ears, I didn't enjoy it in that way, I guess.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, I feel
But
like there's definitely some perspective from listening through songs in an album's order and what you're gonna take out and listen to in your playlist or just go back to individually and listen to. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And this fits
yeah,
really well in the album where I'm not sure I would put this specifically in a playlist
mm-hmm.
just because it has a lot of drama or DJ drama talking in it, and it's definitely an album cut.
Yeah, like I feel like that's definitely true on here.
mhm.
Like where a couple of the best songs on here are like the ones that are like 9 minutes, but like in a vacuum. Like by itself, like there aren't as many people that are like interested in listening to like a 9 minute song or whatever. But like in the context of like listening to the album, like all together, like those are like the highlights, you know?
I really like how he was saying on here with the bars that we pulled out. He says, F all the checks and the calls, get a passport, see the world, open your eyes till your back hurt. Get bread, you won't leave. Shit is backwards. Start with your feet, then a car, then an airport. So he's really saying, yeah, if you are successful, don't stay exactly where you're at. Don't be stagnant in your position. Get a different perspective. Go and see things that you're not used to. Learn about stuff that you're not as familiar in. And yeah, he's saying like, yeah, st- instead of being backwards, start with your feet, then get in a car, then an airport, and go, experience something new.
I like that start with your feet, then a car, then an airport, because it's just kind of like it makes me think like, okay, like you don't have to rush into like you don't have to like take too much time trying to just go all in. Like you can kind of take your time, baby steps, and just kind of work your way, work your way up there in terms of exploring the world and like what it has to offer and stuff like that, which I really like. So I do like that a lot.
Yeah,
See, now you guys are
Tyler's.
making me like this track more.
Well, you're welcome.
That's how it goes.
Well, Tyler is 29, so he has had plenty of experiences that your average 29-year-old wouldn't. And so he's sort of advocating for, I mean, from a position of wealth and success, of course, not everyone's going to be able to do this, but he is advocating for making a trip and, going and experiencing something that you're not familiar with and getting a different perspective on things. And I feel like that's always a commendable message and a good one to cap the album off on. And I feel like the whole theme of Call Me If You Get Lost relates to that in travel, as well as the girl that he was talking to saying, if you, what's he say at the end of this? We didn't grab the bars, but he says if he ever puts his hands on you, then I'll have him killed or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's saying if this girl ever gets lost in a relationship, I'll be there for her because I love her. But for you, if you are ever feeling lost or anything, go and get a different perspective and travel and call me when you get there and I'll have this music for you.
Yeah, I think it's a really, really cool message and like low-key like an important message because like there's so many people that grow up and live their whole lives like just in the same like 50-mile radius or like something like even like smaller than that. Like there's a lot of people that really don't get out of their bubble ever. And like even besides that, like so many people that like work all their lives, like working like a 9 to 5 job and everything, and they have all these vacation days that they don't use. And like there's a ton of that like goes on and now that we're back from like COVID and everything, like yeah, I think it would be really cool if people would start to expand their horizons and like travel more and expand their perspectives to like what people think beyond just like their bubble that they're used to and like there's so much more out there.
For sure. The last thing I wanted to share with everyone was sort of the interactions Tyler had with his fans on release night and just a bit of what he said to the people that were, most dedicated and listening and wanting to hear more about this album. So I guess if you're listening to this podcast, then you're definitely wanting to hear what Tyler has to say. But he said, shout out rap music. I love it. DJ Drama, I love you. What you did for rap, phenomenal. From all the Waynes, the dedications. Pharrell, yeah, he was just like shouting out all of his inspirations and stuff going into this album. And he said, shout out to West Side Gun for making me want to rap again. I love rap. It changed people's lives. So he's saying West Side Gun, like he collaborated with him early last year, but the whole Griselda, um, label and collective has made him want to rap again, especially West Side Gun. So that's super cool to see as they've gained prominence and rap and popularity merging from the underground, releasing like a ton of projects in 2020 and a ton in 2021. I can't even keep up, but when I get recommended a song, I always love listening to it from Griselda. So that's cool that Tyler was thinking about them specifically and wanting to rap again and get his creative passion back.
It makes me really happy seeing that quote. Because I remember from back in the day with like Cherry Bomb and stuff, I was always on the camp of like wanting T to rap more. Because I just think he's like really talented in that sphere. And going into this album, my prediction was that he was gonna go into like a rock direction. I thought he was gonna be like going like tapping into some genre he hadn't before. I thought he was gonna be going like some sort of like rock type thing. But yeah, with those guys inspiring him stuff, it makes me happy that he like is going like went from Igor, where it was basically a pop album, going back into rap and taking it to a whole different direction. Like this album totally has a different style than any of his other rap albums.
Oh yeah. And this was a pretty funny video I wanted to share with you guys. Here, I'm gonna pull my mic up to the laptop if I get my audio back on here.
We just got the, man, I'm sleepy. What am I saying? This nigga just yelled over songs. Years of needing this. From the Waynes to the Jeezys to the P, all the fucking mixtapes. My 15-year-old self is.
Oh my God, Tyler.
About that? The legend. I don't even use that word. You're a fucking god. I love you, and I'm gonna give you a hard hug once we're done with this. I love you too, but I'm gonna pass on the hug. Call me when you get lost, baby.
But you can see they're in the studio together and just rapped. And yeah, he's just got a ton of love for DJ Drama, and I thought that was just a funny video to cap it off on and keep the good vibes going. But final thoughts. What were you guys' favorite tracks? What were your reactions? We'd love to hear it in the comments below. Hit us up on all our social media. I have been Pat G with my co-hosts Roger and Alec, but just wanted to make sure you guys were interacting with us and would reach out to us and talk and share your thoughts. We would love to hear them. But yeah, any last words you guys have on this project? Tyler the Creator, call me if you get lost.
Man, I already listened through it like 4 or 5 times already. I'll probably listen to it. Bro, like already with this one, it's so fresh and so new. Like, and I don't know, it's been hard for me to like really digest everything that's came in from this album, because I think it's just been really impressed by it. Like it's already up into my like higher tiers of like how I think about his stuff. Like Flower Boy and Wolf, shout out, are like my like 2 that like go back and forth between being my favorite all the time, and I feel like this one's already up into that mix of greatness. And like I love Cherry Bomb and Igor and Goblin Bastard too, but I feel like this one's already like shot itself into the upper echelon there.
He's rapping on this project. And yeah, I feel like his more rap centered projects I'll always appreciate more and love, just because that's the art form that I create in and enjoy the most.
Yeah, I really liked it. I had to give it some more listens. I really only gave it probably like 2 full listen throughs. I definitely got to give it some more love. Maybe I'll even add more to my playlist that I haven't quite added yet. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the album. Solid.
Dope. Well, thanks everybody for watching our podcast, episode number 3 of the Boom Bap Bros. And this is us signing off. Make sure to connect with us at Boom Bap Bros everywhere. Peace.